بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدي وحبيبي ونور قلبي وثمرة فؤادي أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين ذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
My dear brothers and sisters, our dear guest, Professor Anthony, and all the students who are participating here with us in this tonight's program, I would like to welcome each and every one of you from the bottom of our heart and say to each one of you that you're welcome to this center. You're welcome to this mosque. And your being here is really an honor for each and every one of us. And we do appreciate your coming, and we hope that you will have a good time in your visit. And we hope also that this will not be your last visit to our center. We hope that you will keep coming as we will try to establish this friendship, brotherhood from tonight and any time. And I'd like also to say, please, as you're here visiting, feel free. Enjoy your visit. Anything we can do to make your visit enjoyable, great, please let us know and we'll do that. And once again, thank you for coming, and we appreciate your time. And we hope that inshallah, this visit will continue in the near future. Thank you all for coming once again. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
My dear brothers and sisters, I was asked to speak tonight about the unity of God. In other words, the unity of Allah, because we call our God Allah. Let me, before I go further, what is the meaning of the word Allah? Where did the word Allah came from? The word Allah, I'm sure you all have heard it. The word Allah, which we spell A-L-L-A-H, which is the special name for our Creator. This word is an Arabic word. The root word of this Allah, there are three different sayings. The original of the word Allah came from three words. The first one, they said, the root of the word Allah came from the word walaha. Walaha, they say it means to be confused. Why would the God name become from the word confused? They said the reason why the word Allah is driven from the word walaha is because God is someone that the more you want to think about His essence, the more you become confused. Why is that? Because you're thinking about someone who is unlimited and you want the limited one to think about it. It's impossible. God himself, when you look at it, is unlimited. So I, as a human being, with my limited mind, I cannot understand and grasp the essence of the Creator. And that is why it's called Allah. The one, the more you want to think about him, the more you become confused. Now, how do I get to know God then? If I can't think about his essence, then how do I think to get to know him? They say, yes, there is another way. Right? Now, the way to get to know him is through his creatures. The more you think about things he created, the more you get to know his talent. Let me give you an example. We all know that most of the electronics that we have, we know that the one that's come from Japan, this is a good quality. Like Toshiba, like Sony, it's mashallah, that's the good quality. Right? Now, if I want to know how great the Japanese are and how smart they are, I can tell how smart they are from the products that they give. Because that product reflects on how great and how wise they are. The same thing in the sense of God. If I want to understand God and the Creator, I can look at these things that he created, and that can give me the better understanding about God. That is the word, the first root of the word Allah. Number two, some scholars say, no, the word Allah is driven from the word walaha. And walaha, they said, it means the one who deserves to be worshipped. The one who people are attached to him. How is that? Now, are you attached to God now? No, I don't think so. Now, how do we call God as the one who is attached to people? Here's the reason. They say because God or Allah is someone. The more you get to know him, the more you become attached to him. The reason we are not attached to him, because we don't know him. How is so? Giving you an example. Now let's say any one of us, you wake up in the morning, early in the morning, you open your door to get up, you see somebody wrote check to you, $1 million. Right? That's for you, free of charge. You take the money, mashallah, I know your old plans for the day is going to change. Whatever the case is, you take the $1 million and you're happy, and the first thing you think is, let me see what I can do to get to use this money in the way that I want to. Want to buy a new car, a new house, new clothes, new shoes, whatever. The next day you wake up, there is another $1 million. The third day you wake up, every day you wake up, there is something at the door. You come to find that person who keep writing the check to you. The least you can do to him is to say what? Is to appreciate them and be kind to them and at least show your appreciation to their kindness. That is what we come from. We say God is called Allah from the word waliha because we attach to him because of the good things that he has done for us. Now we can say, okay, what is the good thing that he has done? I'll give you some example. Now you and I, we breathe in and out every day. Did you make that air that you breathe in and out? Of course not. You walk on this earth every day from one place to another. Did you create the earth? No. But God created it and you are benefiting from it. And that is one of the reasons we have to be connected to him because of these blessings. That is number two. Number three, they say the word is driven from the word walaha or alaha, some scholars say. But they say here it means ta'allaka. In Arabic, ta'allaq means to hang on, which means every being, everyone, their life is hanged on the life of the Creator. Without him, we cannot exist. Today I'm alive, I'm walking, I'm eating, I'm talking, I'm laughing. It's all because of his life and his existence. So his existence is reflect on my existence. And that is why it's called Allah. That is, just to give us the meaning of the word Allah. Now let's come to the point. The topic I was asked to speak on was about the unity of God. And if the time permits, also about the second part of the topic should be about the love of the God for humanity. Now the first part, let me be honest with you. The word about the unity of God is a very, very broad topic. I will not be doing justice to the topic if I tell you that I can finish all the aspects of unity of God tonight. No. It's impossible. Because it's a vast, huge topic in Islam. It has different branches. And it has different connection. That before we can understand the unity of God in Islam, we need to connect the dots so we can see where does it start and where does it end, and how did we become to believe in the oneness of God. For that matter, just to make it easier for all of us, I want to take just 2 steps. Step number 1, I want to start from how do we start to get to believe the unity of God, or God is one. Where do we start and how do we start? First, we have to prove that the God exists. I can't say God is one unless I prove that He exists. After proving His existence, then comes, is He 1? Is He 2? Is He 10? Then the second part of it comes in. And I'd like to connect these two together just to give us an idea as a Muslims, how did we come to believe that God exists? We have 2 ways of doing that in Islam. Way number 1, through logic. We use only logic to prove to ourselves that God exists. And you know this, to prove to ourselves that God exists in Islam is an obligation on every single individual. It's not like, no, my dad and my mom, they are Muslims, so I'm born Muslim, so that's it. They say God is one, that's it. No, it's not that. It doesn't work that way. Every individual, you have to train yourself, whether with the help of others or with yourself, to get to that conclusion that God exists. And He is one with your own proof. So it's individual obligation. For that matter, we said that in Islam we believe that first we have to prove that God exists. But how do we do that? I'm just going to try to summarize it because there is a lot of points, but I'm going to summarize it to make it easier for us. Number 1, we said God exists because when you look at every creation in this universe, it doesn't matter. You take anything that you want to think of. You want to take the carpet, the door, the ceiling, the fan, the electricity, anything that you want to think of. There is always 2 possibilities about that. Including yourself and myself. Anything that you can think of, there is always 2 possibilities. There is no third. Possibility number 1. Either that thing created itself or it was created by something else. Either you can claim you created yourself, or we said someone else created me. Someone can be maybe 2 people, 3 people, it doesn't matter. I am created by somebody else. The first possibility is impossible. That cannot happen. Why? And I'm talking about this is logic here. Because if we say something creates itself, you know what it means? Logically, it was there and it wasn't there. And that is impossible. How is that? For someone to create something, they have to exist first. And then for me to create something that is not there, they have to not be there for me to create them and bring them to existence. So if I say I create myself, that means I have to be there first when I'm not there to create myself. Which doesn't make sense. So we call the first possibility is out of topic because it's not going to happen. Because I can't be there to create myself and not be there to be created. So that is out. Number two, we said that, okay, it is created by someone outside. That is the possibility number two, which makes sense. Now we go to anything that you can think of. We ask anything, did you create yourself? Say, no, I did not. Who created you? Let me start with myself. Who created me? How did I get to this world? I said, my mom and dad. Right? Good. Now let's go to your mom and dad. Mom and dad, how did you get here? Mom said, my mom and dad. Now you go to your dad. Dad, how did you get here? My mom and dad. Said, okay, let's go to your mom and dad. Mom and dad, how did you get here? They said, my mom and dad. And it keeps going up and up and up. It has to get to some point where everything started and did not found by anything else. That point is called what we call God. Let me give you an example. You stack up a books. You can find billions of books. One is leading on one, and they lead on one another. It has to get at some point where something does not lean on anything, and it's the beginning for others to lean on it. That is what we call the beginning of what the others have to lean on. It's what we call God. Let me give you some practical examples. We say, for example, when you look at the universe that we live in, everything that you can think of, for example, let's say you take a water. You have a guest, you give him a water. You drink the water, they say, wow, this water is so sweet. Right? So it tastes good. Tastes good. What did you put in the water? I said, I put a sugar in the water. Right? Now, do anybody at any point ask you why the sugar is sweet? They will ask why water is sweet, right? Because the nature of the water is not to be sweet. But nobody will ask you why sugar is sweet, because the nature of the sugar is to be sweet. The same thing, if I give you a rice and it's so salty, you say, why the food is so salty? I say, because I put a lot of salt in there. But you're not going to ask me why salty is salty, because that is the nature of the salt. When you get to that point, there is no more question. Now, we ask everything. How did you get here? How did you get here? Until we get to the beginning of all the creations. When we get that point, there is no question, how did you get here? Because he is the beginning of all the living things. That is proof number one. Number two, we said the reason why we believe that God exists is because of you. Because of everything around us. Okay, how would that be? Because we said, your existence proves to us that there is somebody who created you. How is that be? As I give an example, when you see a smoke, right? You see a smoke, but you haven't seen a fire. But what does come to your mind? Just by looking at the smoke, you say, oh, there is a fire there. Why? Because smoke cannot happen by itself unless there is a fire with it. When you hear somebody is knocking at your door, you haven't seen anybody, but you come to yourself that somebody's at the door. Did you see him? No. But how did you come to know that somebody's at the door? I hear knocking. That knocking is a what? Indication that someone is there. You hear your cell phone is ringing. Somebody that, no. But as soon as you hear the phone ringing, is that somebody's calling. Okay, how did you know that? Because from the what? From the ringing tone. So that ringing tone is an indication of somebody looking for you. Knocking at the door indicates that somebody is there. The fire, the smoke that you see indicates that there is what? There is a fire. Our existence that you see is an indication of the existence of the Creator. When you walk outside, sometimes you see some footprint, right? Of a dog. Or any other human being. You haven't seen them. But just from the footprint, you know somebody has passed here. You come in your house, you see a footprint of a car. You haven't seen the car, but from the footprint, you know the car has come into the house. That is what we said. These are all the signs of proving that God exists. And that is where we come from this, brothers and sisters. Now, up to this, we're talking about the existence of God. Now, the second part. How did we come to believe that God is one? Why not two? Why not three? Because there are people who believe in multiple gods. They also we are on the same boat that there is a God. But we differ in whether the God is one or not. Like Hindus, they believe in multiple gods. And we believe in one. Why one? We say the reason we believe God is one is because let's assume either there is one God or there is more than one. Let's take the possibility number one. There are multiple gods. We said, if there are multiple gods, right, there is either all of them are equal or some of them are powerful than the others. There is either these possibilities, right? Either we say there are 3, 4, 5 gods, but all of them are equal from every angle. Power, mercy, everything that you can think, they're all equal, which is impossible. But let's assume that's possible. They're all equal in every angle. But the point is this: if they're all equal, and one of them can take care of the world and show us and take care of the needs of human beings, why do we need more than one? In other words, we have a saying. They say, if I can point, this is my ear, why do I need to say, oh, this is my ear? If one God can be enough to take care of the universe and all our needs, then why do we need more than one God? Now, if we say that, no, those gods, they are all equal and they all have differences, then we say that is not the God that we believe in. Because as Muslims, we believe that the God is supposed to have all good qualities. Equal. Every good quality that you can think of, he has to obtain, he has to have all those qualities. So if we have more than one God, either they're equal or they're not. If they are equal, which is not possible, then that's not going to happen. If they are not equal, one of them is powerful, the others are weaker, or they have powers that the others don't have, then at least some of them have to have some power more than the others. And the one who have more is more powerful than the others. And he becomes the God, not the others. That is reason number one. Reason number two, we said one of the reasons we believe that there is only one God is the system that you see in this universe. System number one. We all know from day one that the sun always rises from where? From the east and sets where? In the west. In the west. That is the routine. Never changed. We always know that there is a rule that there is some kind of law that God created in this universe, and it doesn't change. And that is, for example, when I throw something up, what happened? It comes down. Everything that you can think of. You know, this system, it indicates that there is one God. How is that? So it is the proof. Now, let's assume there are two gods, right? They always have to have different desires. Now, husband and wife is an example, right? They love each other, they married, they live under one roof. One day the husband said, I want, let's say, fish sandwich. The wife says, no, I don't want fish sandwich today. I'm tired of it. What do you want? So I want something different, right? They love each other, they have some things in common, but at one point, they have different desires. Now, if we have two gods, at one point they have to have two desires, different desires. So what desires is, someday one God said, I want snow in Florida. And the God B said, no, you're wrong. What do you mean Florida? Florida doesn't get snow. They always got a hat. Send it to Washington, D.C. Right? Because that's where they get the snow. Say, no, I want to change it. I wonder. No, what do you think is going to happen there? A clash between the two gods, because God A wants something and God B wants something different, and that will at least cause some kind of conflict between the two gods. And the fact that we haven't seen that conflict yet at least indicate that there is only one God. Because if there were two, at least at one point their wishes and desire will crush to each other. And there were some differences, but we haven't seen that. From day one we were born, 60 years, 70 years, 100 years, we always know the sun rises from one part and set at the other part. It never changed. These are the rules that shows that there is only one God. Because if they were to be two, there would be different rules. That is reason number 2. Reason number 3. We said God is one. Because when you look at this universe, we as a Muslims I'm talking about, we believe that God has sent, according to the belief of Muslims, we have 124,000 prophets. 124,000 prophets God sent. From Adam to our Prophet Muhammad. And all of them, right? They called for one God. None of them came and said, no, there is God B that you guys don't know of. Every one of them, when they come, they say there is one God, and that God is called Allah, and He calls people of His time to that one God. Now, had there be two gods, don't you think the other God will also send His prophet to claim or at least to campaign for Him? You know, in America, we have Democrat and Republic, right? We know that, right? Yeah. Now, anytime, look at the issues of politics, right? I just want to give an example just to clarify the point. Now, you know that one time the Republican goes to Florida, they come and campaign. A week later, mashallah, you see the other parties also coming too. We want to also get some point too. We don't want to leave everything to you. Why should you want to take all the voters? So one group comes, they campaign, they leave, the other party comes too, to show their existence too. Now, if there are to be two gods in this universe, and one God is always coming, campaigning, taking people, Muslim, and the other God is just saying, well, okay, whatever. Right? So are you serious? Have to be a God? If you're a really God, He's taking all the people. You should do something. The fact that we haven't seen another prophet comes and says, no, there is another God called A or B, that is indication that there is only one God. Because if there are two, He wouldn't be quiet looking at the other God taking all the crown. That is another reason that we believe that God is one. Now, when we talk about the oneness of God, as I mentioned, it comes into different branches. Branch number 1, we call it in Arabic, Tawhid al-Dhat. Unity of the essence of the Creator. That God will believe that He exists. His essence is one. It's just one. That's it. And this, the reason we believe in this, to show our disagreement with the Christianity. Why? Because in Christianity, they also believe, we started from the same journey, that God is, we believe in God. But when we come to define how and who is that God, they say the God is one, but it is, at some point is three, which is called Trinity. Right? One is God, Son, and the Holy Spirit. We say no. We Muslims say no. The essence of God is just one. That's it. How is that? Here's what we believe. We say if the essence of God is not one, and it's formed from different parts, that's the Son, and the God, and the Holy Spirit, right? 3 parts. They say if that is what makes God, then that God has to need one part before He can become complete. Let me give you an example. Like a car. A car is made, and you have the tires, you have the engine. If you take one tire from the car, can it run? No. What happened? Because it's missing one part. You and I, as a human, we are human. If you take one leg or one hand, you're not going to be a complete human being anymore. Because you need one part to become complete. If we say God's essence is divided into 3 or 2 or more, we say that God has to need that part in order to function properly. And as soon as we say he needs, then that takes him out of the line of God. Because our definition of God is, he is needless. He shouldn't need anything. That's why we believe the essence of God is one and not more than that. That is part one. Number two, we also believe what we call Tawhid Sifat. Tawhid Sifat means the attribute of God also is one. And this is very important, brothers and sisters. Why do we say that? See, as a human being, our essence is something, and our attribute also is something else. There are two different things. As you and I, you have your essence as a human being, and then you have some qualities which are also different than you. How is that? Let me say now you are a teacher. You're an engineer, right? Now, but when you were born, were you an engineer? No. You were born, and your head is empty, doesn't know anything about engineering. Then later on, you learn, you acquire the knowledge, then you became engineer. So your essence when you were born is something, and then the knowledge that you acquired later made you something else. Is it the same thing with God? That God, his essence is something, and his attribute is something else? We say no. We say God is not like you and I. God, from day one of his existence, he has every great quality you can ever imagine. God was existent, and he is knowledgeable. God existed, and he is the most powerful. God existed, and he is the most merciful. God existed, and he is the most kind. Every attribute that you can think of, from day one he has it. Not like you and I. When we were born, we were not merciful. When we were born, we were not knowledgeable. When we were born, we were not strong. And then slowly, all these things came later on. So our essence from the beginning is something, and then the qualities we acquire later is something different. We say God is different. His qualities and himself are one. And that's what's called the unity of attribute of God. That every attribute that we ascribe to him does not differ with his essence. And that is number two. Number three. And we call it Tawhid al-Ibadah. Tawhid al-Ibadah it means the unity of service of God. Which means when a person wants to serve God, we are not allowed to serve anybody other than God. We respect the Holy Prophet. We follow him as a leader, but we don't worship him. We have his successors who are also high. We respect them, we honor them, but we don't worship them. Because we believe that the only one who deserves to be worshipped is only God. That's it. And we call that Tawhid, the unity of serving, or the unity of worshiping. You only worship only God, nobody else. It doesn't matter how great a person can be. It doesn't matter how wonderful a person can be, but he does not qualify to be a God or worship. The only one who has that right is the Creator and Allah. That's it. And we call that, there is a lot of explanation, but I'm just giving you this key point, and that's called Tawhid al-Ta'a or al-Ibadah. Now, number four, they call it Tawhid al-Af'al. And this one, number four, it has 6 branches. I can't go into that. Inshallah, I just want to give the quick point about this. Number 4, Tawhid al-Af'al is we believe the actions of God is also one. His actions is one. Not like you and I. Our action is not the same. Which means, now, for example, your actions, let's say, for example, you want to build one single room. The amount of time and the energy it takes you is different than if you want to build a castle. It takes more time, takes more energy, takes more of your time, right? But is it the same thing with God too? That when God wants to create something, does he need, if it's a smaller thing, for example, let's say when God wanted to create an ant, the tiny creature, does it take him 5 minutes? Versus if he wants to create elephant, that huge animal, right? Now it's going to take him 1 week. Is it the same thing? Or no, to God? Whether he is creating an ant or creating a huge animal like elephant, it takes him the same amount of time. We believe that is called Tawhid al-Af'al. All the actions of Allah or God is one. Doesn't make any difference. Whether it's a huge animal or a huge creation he wants to create, or a tiny animal or creature he wants to, they take him the same amount of time. Unlike you and I. When we want to make something, if it's big, it's like you want to lift something like 1 pound. The amount of energy you need is not the same when you want to lift something like 20 pounds. Because they're two different. It's the same action, the same person, but this action needs more and this action needs less. When we come to God, we say, no, God, his actions are all the same. Doesn't make any difference. Now that is what we call Tawhid al-Af'al. And as I mentioned, this one has 6 categories, 6 branches, but I don't want to go into that. But one thing that I just want to also add into it. A lot of people, they ask, why do we worship God that we can't see? Because a lot of people, they say, seeing is believing. You know? I don't know, I'm sure a lot of them you have heard about this. Seeing is believing. If I don't see, I can't believe it. Because we believe as Muslims, we cannot see God, not in this world, and we can't see him in the hereafter either. But how would you worship God that you can't see? Here we answer, we said, yes, we can't see him, but we believe that he exists. Just because you can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Now, if I ask any one of us, do you have a brain? What would be the answer? Yes, I do. Of course. What do you mean I don't have a brain? That's how I think, and I know what is right or wrong. And I ask you, can you show me your brain? No. Okay, since you can't show me, that means you don't have a brain. Does that make sense to you? Of course not. I say, even though you can't show me, but you believe that you have a brain. And I believe you do. But my point is, the fact that I can't see your brain doesn't mean that you don't have a brain. Similarly, when we talk about other laws of the world, like for example, you talk about the air that we breathe in and out. We all believe that air exists. But can you show me the color of the air? No. But do you believe it exists? Yes. The same thing. We say, even though we can't see God, but we can feel his existence. We can feel that he's there when we look at around us. And we look at the things that he created, they all, in combined, prove that he exists. And that is why we believe, even though we can't see God, we believe that God still exists. And that is just a summary about our belief in the unity of God. I hope I've done enough to explain this point, and I'd like to leave now the podium for the question and answers, if there is any question that I'll be able to answer now. And I don't know if we have a mic for sisters too, in case any sister has a question.